The echo of a key. There is a sound, a distinct tactile click-clack that for a generation was the soundtrack of business, of ambition, of connection. It was the sound of a BlackBerry. For a decade, this device wasn't just a phone. It was a lifeline, an extension of the self. They called it the Crackberry for a reason. It was an addiction that powered boardrooms, defined celebrities, and even reached the hands of presidents. It was a symbol of unshakable success, born not in Silicon Valley, but in the unassuming city of Waterloo, Ontario. This is the story of how that empire crumbled to dust, and how, from that dust, something entirely new and unexpected arose. This is the story of a phoenix, the fortress. The story begins with two men, Mike Lazaridis, the brilliant engineer, and Jim Balsillie, the shrewd businessman. Their company, Research in Motion, or RIM, didn't set out to create a cultural icon. They were focused on solving a very specific, very powerful problem: how to get email on the go. Their breakthrough was push email. Instead of you having to check for messages, your messages came to you instantly, securely. It was a revelation. And then came the keyboard, that iconic, physical QWERTY keyboard. It was a marvel of miniaturization. You could type with a speed and accuracy that felt like a superpower compared to the clumsy numeric pads of the time. This, combined with the addictive BlackBerry Messenger, or BBM, with its precious D and R receipts, created a closed, efficient, and incredibly sticky ecosystem. The BlackBerry became the undisputed king of the enterprise. Corporations deployed BlackBerry enterprise servers by the thousands, creating a secure digital fortress around their communications. It was a device you could trust. By the mid-2000s, BlackBerry was a verb. You were BlackBerrying. At its peak in 2009, the company held over 20% of the global smartphone market. Its stock price was soaring. The fortress, it seemed, was impregnable. But the very walls that protected it also blocked its view of the horizon. And a storm was coming. The earthquake, January 9th, 2007.
The problem with them is really sort of in the bottom 40
Steve Jobs of Apple
It's this stuff right here.
And uttered a simple phrase: "Today, Apple is going to reinvent the phone." And he did. The iPhone was not
They all
an
have
evolution.
these keyboards
It was
that are
a
there
revolution.
whether you need them or not
A
to be
sleek
there.
glass slab with a full multi-touch screen. It was a pocket-sized computer that also happened to make calls. Inside the fortress at Waterloo, the initial reaction was a mixture of skepticism and dismissal. They saw a toy, a device with a terrible battery life, no physical keyboard, and a network that struggled under the load. It wasn't secure enough for their enterprise clients. They fundamentally misjudged the shift. This wasn't about a better tool for email. This was about the internet in your pocket. It was about apps, about media, about a new intuitive way of interacting with the digital world. While Apple and Google's Android built vast, open ecosystems of apps and developers, BlackBerry remained closed, confident in its own superiority. Their response was slow, and when it came, it was misaligned. The BlackBerry Storm, their first major touchscreen device, was a disaster. Its clickable screen was confusing and unreliable. It was a product born of compromise, not vision. The exodus began slowly, then all at once. The bring your own device, or BYOD trend, was the killer blow. Executives, the very people who had championed the BlackBerry, started demanding their iPhones and Android phones be connected to the corporate network. The draw of the App Store, the superior web browser, the sleek design, it was too powerful. The fortress was being abandoned from within. Market share evaporated. Billions of dollars in value vanished. The stock price plummeted. The once mighty brand became a punchline, a textbook case of disruptive innovation and corporate hubris. By 2013, the situation was dire. The launch of the BlackBerry 10 operating system and new devices like the Z10 was a final, desperate gamble. The technology was actually quite innovative, a fluid, gesture-based interface. But it was too late. the app ecosystem was barren. The world had moved on. In 2016, the unthinkable was made official. BlackBerry would stop designing and manufacturing its own phones. The device that defined them, the source of their fame and fortune, was dead. For many, this was the end of the story. But for the company's leadership, under the steady hand of new CEO John Chen, this was not an obituary. It was a strategic retreat. It was the difficult, painful decision to amputate a dying limb to save the body. The question was, what was the body? What was BlackBerry's true core? The answer lay not in the plastic and metal of its handsets, but in the code that ran within them. For decades, BlackBerry's identity had been built on two profound strengths: an unparalleled understanding of security and a rock-solid, reliable operating system. They decided to pivot, to stop fighting for the consumer's pocket and start securing and powering the digital world that those consumers were now living in. They would become a ghost in the machine. The first rebirth, QNX, the ghost in the machine. This is where the story takes its first fascinating turn. Years earlier, in 2010, BlackBerry had made a prescient acquisition. They bought a company called QNX Software Systems. At the time, it seemed like a niche move. QNX was known for its rock-solid microkernel operating system used in everything from nuclear power plants to industrial assembly lines. It was the gold standard for systems where failure was not an option. As BlackBerry's phone business withered, QNX began to flourish in a new, explosive market: the automobile. The modern car is no longer just a mechanical machine. It's a rolling computer network. Dozens of electronic control units need to communicate flawlessly. The infotainment screen, the digital cockpit, the advanced driver assistance systems, all of this requires software that is supremely stable, secure, and safe. BlackBerry QNX became the invisible brain inside this revolution. Today, it's embedded in over 215 million vehicles worldwide. When you adjust the climate control in a Mercedes-Benz, when you use the navigation in a BMW, when your Ford truck warns you of a collision, there's a very high probability that QNX is making it happen reliably and instantly. It's the software you never see, but your life depends on. They went from being in everyone's pocket to being in everyone's garage, laying the foundational code for the future of autonomous driving and the connected car. The second rebirth, cybersecurity, the digital shield. But the reinvention didn't stop there. BlackBerry's other core strength, security, was also undergoing a metamorphosis. The company that once secured your email was now poised to secure everything else. They shifted from being a hardware company to a software and services company, focusing on what's called Unified Endpoint Security, or UES. This is a fancy term for a simple yet critical idea: protecting every single device, every endpoint that connects to a corporate network, every laptop, every tablet, every smartphone. In our modern world, every one of these is a potential doorway for a cyber attack. To supercharge this effort, BlackBerry made another crucial move. In 2018, they acquired a cybersecurity firm called Cylance. Cylance brought something revolutionary to the table: artificial intelligence. Instead of just reacting to known viruses and malware, Cylance's AI could analyze the behavior of files and predict and prevent attacks before they even happened. It was a proactive shield, not just a reactive cure. Today, BlackBerry's cybersecurity division protects the entire governments, Fortune 500 companies, and critical infrastructure from cyber threats. They are the silent guardians, fending off ransomware attacks, data breaches, and digital espionage. The battle is no longer for a place in the consumer's hand, but for the integrity of our digital world. What are we to make of the BlackBerry story? It is ultimately a story of resilience. It's a lesson in what it means to truly understand your own identity. BlackBerry was never, at its heart, just a phone company. It was a company built on secure, reliable communication and robust software engineering. For a glorious, noisy decade, the expression of that identity happened to be a little device with a physical keyboard. When the world changed, they had the courage to let that expression die, so that the core identity could find a new, and in many ways, more powerful form. The click of the keyboard is now a memory, a nostalgic echo. But the legacy of that sound lives on. It lives on in the silent, instantaneous processing of a self-driving car sensor array, powered by QNX. It lives on in the AI-powered algorithms that thwart a multi-million-dollar cyber attack on a hospital, powered by BlackBerry's security suite. They shed the spotlight to become a behind-the-scenes powerhouse. The Phoenix of Waterloo did not simply rise from the ashes to be what it once was. It transformed. It learned that sometimes, to survive, you must become something new entirely. And in doing so, it secured its place not as a relic of the past, but as a foundational pillar of our connected future. The story of BlackBerry is far from over. In many ways, the most important chapters are just beginning.